Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
If there's more revenue for the league, there's more revenue for the players, and that would make it saleable. So they may have objections. Certainly there's more risk of injury the longer the season goes. But, these guys, their careers are short. The money is good. Money would be better. So I wouldn't bet against the league expanding sooner rather than later.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
His wife and his kids were like, I kind of like this. This kind of works out for me. Hey, daddy's a celebrity again, so I get access to things. Daddy's making money again. Hadn't made a nickel in the last 5 years. Now he's made a lot of money, so I'm sure they're good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the prospect of daddy being away, like he ain't cheating on you in Buffalo, I can tell you that. I live there.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind right here on the early line on the Sports Grid Network. It is a Thursday, and for me in the Northeast, and like everybody else, it's a freezing cold day here, but we are one step closer to Super Bowl Sunday. Not this Sunday, the following Sunday. We'll get you caught up on all the latest, including practice reports with estimated injuries that you're going to want to hear about. I'm Donnie Rightside. He is Joe Ranieri, and you know the drill. The next 2 hours, we got you covered. Hot topics we're in. Latest topics, we got it. LeBron James, could it be his last game in Cleveland? Possibly. And also remember this, people. You got action each and every night in college basketball and also in the NBA, and coaches getting hired in places we didn't think would happen. That's what we do, Joe. We got 2 hours to go to bring it to the people.
Yeah, I mean, what an emotional scene in Cleveland last night with LeBron,
man.
Johnny. I mean, tears flying, and then, oh, yeah, you lost Doncic because they raised the floor in Cleveland. Sounds wonderful. Things are going swimmingly for the Lakers.
Yeah, got to forget to not fall off the side of the court just the way it goes down. But Thursday is for hot topics, getting your coffee, getting caffeinated. Joe, bring us that topic of the day.
Well, Donnie, just a few days ago, I said the Buffalo Bills had taken the title of most dysfunctional team in New York. Well, the Jets heard me, grabbed a beer, and said, well, not so fast. Because this week, head coach Aaron Glenn proved that the same old Jets, well, they are alive and well. Let's recap the panic at one Jets drive, shall we, Donnie? First, Aaron Glenn decides to fire his handpicked offensive coordinator from last year, year one, in Tanner Engstrand. Now, was he the problem? No. The tape showed the offense, for the first time in a long time, actually had structure. Guys were open. The concepts worked. The issue was the quarterback execution. We didn't have one. But instead of fixing the roster, Glenn has now scapegoated the last guy left in the room. And he reportedly wanted to keep him in a reduced role before firing him anyway. That isn't leadership. That is confusion. That is a coach who has no idea what he wants. Then, on the defensive side over the past week, it gets even better. Everyone thought Wink Martindale was the guy. Been around, well-respected, proven track record. He interviewed, it made sense. But nope, Glenn pivots. Now he hires a puppet defensive coordinator and decides that, well, he's going to call the defensive plays in 2026 himself. Because if there's one thing a struggling second-year head coach needs, it's more on his plate. Am I right? And the cherry on the top of this disaster Sunday week, how about the Jets reportedly reaching out to John Gruden to join the staff? And what did Gruden do? Did he jump at the chance to save a franchise? Nope. He said, thanks, I'm good here at Barstool Sports. Folks, when a coach as good as John Gruden chooses internet content over your coaching staff, you are officially at rock bottom. Aaron Glenn spent all season telling us, we have a plan. This isn't a plan. This is panic. You fired your staff. You are starting from scratch, only you're doing it in late January. You are now stuck interviewing candidates way behind the curve because you couldn't make a decision on your offensive coordinator sooner. We knew you weren't making the postseason 4 months ago. We were promised a leader. Instead, we got a guy flailing for answers, Donnie. The seat is warm, the plan is gone, and the circus is back in town. So, Jet fans, same old Jets forever and always, Donnie.
And when you think about it and sit back, Woody Johnson, that franchise will go up exponentially in value over the next 2 to 3 years, like it always does, regardless if the Jets have any success on the field whatsoever. Welcome to the NFL. Let's get to the early lineup and the hottest topics here, which includes Todd Monken. Hi, he's going to join Harbaugh finally in New York. Congratulations. No, he's not. Out of nowhere, the head coach now of the Cleveland Browns, which sets off a firestorm inside the building where Schwartz is like, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, I'm out of here as well. Good luck, Cleveland, here. I don't think we saw this one coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, Schwartz certainly didn't, but he's under contract, don't forget, too, which is funny because the ownership, Haslam Group, really, they had no intentions of removing him no matter who they hired as the head coach. But it appears that Schwartz is like, yeah, no, I'm good here. I'll move on as well. Things are going swimmingly in Cleveland as well.
Exactly. I mean, you had to know the fault was going to be if we're interviewing him to be the head coach. And it's like, well, we don't have the rock stars out here. Oh, let's just give it to some random guy. Oh, yeah, Monken would fit in well here. You knew Schwartz was going to be angry about that, and he'll be out. And by the way, if Schwartz does leave Cleveland or they cut the bait here, he'll pick up a job in 2 seconds as a defensive coordinator in the NFL. The same thing, which what he was doing in Cleveland here. LeBron James talking about Cleveland. Very tearful last night, thinking it might be his last game played in Cleveland. Even tried to turn on the waterworks here. Maybe we got a future in the future for acting for LeBron James. Love it.
Yeah, it was potential. You know, they gave the old tribute video there, the farewell. I mean, it was heartfelt. And then he started really crying the minute Doncic fell off the raised floor, Donnie, about 5 minutes into the game and realized, oh, boy, we're in trouble. You're not going out with a win if it's your last game in Cleveland. Yeah, it wasn't a good showing by your Lakers.
Aaron Judge says the elbow is healing quite well. Well, particularly Booney is saying that right now here. Expecting 50 bombs and an MVP chance next year for him? Well, looks like it's going swimmingly here in the offseason.
Yeah, great. How about you throw somebody out from the outfield? That would be great. I'd be more interested if the elbow is healed for that, because we all know you can check swing and hit 50 home runs there with or without the elbow. It's the defense that he's got to bring to the table, Donnie.
I can't wait. You'll see Aaron Judge in the WBC. Uh-oh, that elbow's hurting a little bit here, and away we go into that Yankee season. Hopefully you can avoid injuries before the season even starts here. Drake May, he's a little bit banged up and injured. Took a little hit there in the game against the Denver Broncos. They won the football game. They're in the Super Bowl. They get 2 weeks off before the Super Bowl. But are we now going to be worried about that shoulder injury here that they're telling you not to worry about?
Oh, please, panic in the streets of New England here. Like, stop it. Everybody is banged up that is left remaining here in this NFL season. There is nobody who is not ailing. He will be fine for one more game. No excuses. Stop trying to build in an excuse for him. No excuses. If he's the MVP, whether he's banged up or not, Donnie, he should show up there, right, and dominate the Seattle Seahawks.
The Hall of Fame had to come out with a statement because why? They always give statements on. No, they don't. They never give statements because they realize as well as we do something nefarious could be going on possibly here with Bill Belichick. How about this? A news release from the Hall of Fame itself.
Yeah, well, a release that says absolutely nothing outside of the fact that, you know, if anybody didn't follow the rules, that there will be consequences, a big slap. And not that they didn't mention Belichick. They didn't mention any sort of reversal. They didn't say anything like that. They just said that they are confident in the process. And if somebody broke the rules, they'll find out.
Yep, it's easy to break the rules, and you just go back on the register rules. Oh, look at this. We're going to put this out here. Did you know so-and-so didn't vote for Belichick? Well, he should be questioned in a public forum, no doubt about it, and we'll probably eventually get down that path. Darian Mensah, he is going from the Duke Blue Devils over to the Miami Hurricanes. He actually won a championship with the Duke Blue Devils last year, the ACC championship. Now he goes to Miami, hoping to get back to where Carson Beck got to in a national championship game, but win it here. Got some pretty good statistics, and Miami's offense looking good for 2026.
I mean, who saw this coming? I mean, jeez. I mean, went just from Duke. I thought he committed. Oh, that's right. He did commit. Oh, that's right. Miami just wrote him a check to buy him out. Oh, that's correct. I can't imagine how much money has just exchanged hands to get him there.
And by the way, congratulations on whatever agency he has to rewrite something with Duke, knowing that he's going to be a sought-after free agent, have the wherewithal to be able to get bought out and get him down to Miami, which probably includes a country club, house and $10 million in your pocket, and away you go, living the lap of luxury here. Patrick Reed, he wants back in the lap of luxury. That luxury, the PGA Tour, Captain America wants back in.
Yeah, he does. Whether they welcome him with open arms, well, that'll be a different story here, Donnie. But yeah, it looks like Live one by one, they're dropping like flies. May not exist very much longer.
Spreadlines coming back up to you here on a Thursday just after the break. It's how we get down. Donnie Wright's got a show near the Early Line and the SportsGrid Network. See you soon.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
57% chance of winning a PGA Tour major. Would I be wrong by saying I want to invest in the no on Scottie Scheffler? And that $100 investment would pay back $213 here. Everybody thinks Scottie's going to win. It's like 100 golfers in those fields each and every week in the majors, the best golfers in the world. I'm going against the grain, Joe. Give me the no on Scottie Scheffler.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Spreadlines on a Thursday morning right here on the SportsGrid Network, the Early Line. Donnie Wright's out along with Joe Ranieri, and we're going to do this every single day up till Super Bowl Sunday. Always the first Spreadline is going to be on what? Seattle and New England, because we're going to get out the microscope right here. And oh, look, open up at 4.5. still sits at 4.5 in most outlets. 46.5s can still find 45.5s and 46s in the marketplace right now. Until we get closer to game week, probably not going to have a lot of movement, but we did have injury information come out for Drake May. A little bit banged up on his shoulder. He will be fine. Sam Darnold, we've been hearing about for weeks that he can't throw a football. Absolutely threw it all over the field against the Los Angeles Rams, and extra time to get ready for this one. Both quarterbacks should be fine. They'll appear on the practice reports. We'll scrutinize and analyze those, Joe. But looking at the Super Bowl today as it sits on Thursday, about a week and a half out, what's that spread line for you?
Yeah, we talked to some of the guys in the risk rooms yesterday, Donnie, and they are under the assumption, hasn't been anything crazy. The limits are now officially up and ready to go, but if history tells us that the bulk of the bets and the money will start from right around a week from today, starting next Wednesday, Thursday, is when we're going to start really seeing the handle increase, meaning a lot more money coming to the windows, a lot more bigger bets. Not necessarily, though, Donnie, don't confuse big bets from sharp bets, because everybody and anybody that has any bankroll is betting this game. Doesn't mean they're respected money, but it just means there's going to be money bet on a lot of it in about a week from now. They're not anticipating a big move one way or the other. Most of the guys that I spoke with believe what you see is what you're going to get. They think 4.5 is likely where it's going to land, but you and I both know, Donnie, not necessarily a key number here in any way, shape, or form. It's the total that they are expecting to actually, based upon once we get the weather report, supposed to be nice, but we're still a million miles away from that, Donnie. Keep an eye on the total. That's where they think the most movement is going in this game.
College basketball, let's flip the script. Liberty is going to take on Middle Tennessee State and go on the road. This line opened up overnight as a 2.5-point favorite towards Liberty. Now sits at some outlets as low as -1, a total of 136.5. Good part about this game, Liberty, number 1 in conference play and offensive efficiency. But how about Middle Tennessee State here, Joe? Number 1 also in defensive efficiency. Should be a fun one to line up. Another key intricate one here. The three-point range, Joe. Best shooting three-point team in conference play, it's Liberty. Best defensive team from the three-point line, it's Middle Tennessee State. This is a fun one in Murfreesboro, Tennessee tonight. What's your spread line?
This feels like the Conference USA title game, more or less here. But Liberty is well clear of the field, as you pointed out, Donnie. And this one really will determine whether or not they win the conference by 3 games or 4 or maybe even more. But it is one of the better games remaining on the Conference USA slate. And I think it'll be telling here because the line, Donnie, we're seeing, right, opened up. Slight favorite towards Liberty, 1.5 overnight. I'm still seeing 1.5s, maybe a 2. So they're not running to the window here to back up Liberty here at home. Middle Tennessee State, pretty decent here at home. But all of the metrics and all of the numbers are pointing to Liberty. They have clearly been the best team in Conference USA.
Heading over to the American here, Florida Atlantic taking on Memphis in Memphis. This line overnight was a slight favorite towards Memphis at -1.5. It's grown to -2.5 and a total listed at 151.5. Looking at some of the defensive metrics for these two teams, Memphis, number 2 in efficiency in conference play. How about FAU's defense? Number 1 in efficiency in conference play. And also, Memphis likes to turn the basketball over on offense. Could that be the difference tonight? But Memphis, a slight favorite at home against FAU. What's your spread line here?
Not a lot of movement overnight in this one either, Donnie. 2.5 is what we saw. Memphis is a favorite. And any chance of an American title here for Memphis is long gone here. It has not been a good season for Penny Hardaway. It feels like the seat's getting a little hotter for Penny Hardaway, by the way. Less than a 5% chance to actually win the league and the conference now. Not good. Meanwhile, FAU's had their troubles on the road. They just went to South Florida. Did not work out well for them. They got blown out in the second half. Now they find themselves as a dog against Memphis here on the road. This is at 8 o'clock here tonight. FAU needs this one. They need to know that they can go into hostile environments and win big games in the conference. And this is going to be a big test for them here tonight.
Big Ten basketball from Illinois. Champaign, that is. Washington on the road to take on Illinois. This line opened up overnight around 13.5. Still sitting in that same range. Most outlets listed at 12.5 now with a total of 152.5. Illinois, the number one most efficient offense in Big Ten play. They love to shoot the three-point shot. Did you know, Joe, close to 55% of their total offense comes from the three-point line there, meaning jacking up those three-point shots? They're heavy favorites tonight against the Huskies. What do you think that spread line should be tonight?
Yeah, I would anticipate this number might increase as well here as Washington traveling to Illinois. Listen, we just saw Illinois. The big problem here, right, is that they just upended at Mackey Arena Purdue Boilermakers over the weekend. What a huge win for Illinois. So it is a bit of a letdown situation, but Washington, Donnie, 2-7 against top 50 opponents this season. Not good. I mean, the problem is that the two wins were over USC, who almost upended Iowa last night, and Ohio State. Both of those teams could miss the NCAA tournament. So, they've lost to teams ranked 8th, 10th, 17th, 10th, and now you're going to get number 5, Illinois. It feels like it's got blowout written all over it, provided Illinois does their part and doesn't have a letdown.
Houston Rockets on the road to take on the Atlanta Hawks. That overnight line, at least at FanDuel, was -4.5. Now it's dropped to 3.5 at just about every outlet. Even some threes starting to come into the marketplace in a total of 225.5. Rockets on the road to take on the Hawks. What's that spread line here tonight?
Both teams played last night, Donnie. Only the Hawks handled business in Boston, while Houston got boat raced in the second half against San Antonio at home. Now they got to travel. There's a reason why this line continues to move towards Atlanta. They have figured some things out there after they moved on from Trae Young.
7 games in the marketplace tonight in the NBA, a plethora of college basketball action, and away we go. Let's get back to some news and notes in the NFL, and also what actually did happen in Cleveland and why is the defensive coordinator so upset. We'll be right back after this short break.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Marshall's a tough environment, though. Marshall's that sneaky road trip, in my opinion, and this has been like a decade long that Marshall's been fire at home and terrible on the road. That's a dangerous road game, but if you look at, there's no return game with Kent State. There's no return game with Akron. Maybe when they go to UMass with Frank Martin being such a good coach, he could really take teams out of their rhythm. But I think there's a case that they could be undefeated in the regular season.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
57% chance of winning a PGA Tour major. Would I be wrong by saying I want to invest in the no on Scottie Scheffler? And that $100 investment would pay back $213 here. Everybody thinks Scottie's going to win. It's like 100 golfers in those fields each and every week, and the major's the best golfers in the world. I'm going against the grain, Joe. Give me the no on Scottie Scheffler.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, those Cleveland Browns. You had so many spots open to be an NFL head coach this season. I was like, okay, we're going to get rid of Stefanski. Stefanski immediately found work for the Atlanta Falcons because he's a known commodity in the NFL that a lot of people believe in, and a two-time NFL Coach of the Year. So you thought the Browns, like, look, it just doesn't work at this point. Let's get a clean break, maybe go with some young, up-and-coming offensive coordinator who can build a franchise around, and then went with Todd Monken, which I don't actually mind the decision, but caught a lot of people off guard yesterday when that decision was announced. He is a no-name. He is a good offensive coordinator. We just thought he was just going to be tied at the hip to Harbaugh and head to the New York Giants. And also, it looked like maybe the leader in the clubhouse was Grant Udinski, the young offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who would take that Cleveland job, or it was going to be in-house with Jim Schwartz, a defensive team with a defensive head coach. Let's see if we can run this thing back. They choose Monken, and now the defensive coordinator's like, I'm out of here now, too. Cleveland dysfunction seems to be at its finest right now, Joe.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a tough spot for him because he is the only part of that former Stefanski regime that the ownership wanted. And quite honestly, Donnie, he has delivered. The best part of the Browns for how long now has been that defense that he has been the leader of, right? So you know on the defensive side, especially with Myles Garrett, that he is a Jim Schwartz fan. That entire defense is, and he thought he was really going to have another shot at a head coaching job, and it was all lining up. I mean, it was the Browns, right? He hasn't coached since 2013 with the Detroit Lions, head coach. So all of a sudden, Monken gets announced, and then they're like, hey, sorry about this. He's a little deflated, but that's human, right? I would be shocked if he'd be like, all right, no big deal. I'm still going to. I mean, what do you expect the guy to do? Of course he wants out, but he's under contract. And I don't know that they're going to hold his feet to the fire with that. If he wants to go, I'm sure they will let him out of the deal, and he'll be coaching someplace else.
Jets feel like they're signing or hiring people, I should say, that we've never even heard of before because possibly nobody wants these jobs and understands the task at hand. You're going to come over here for 1 year. You will be fired at the end of the year because Aaron Glenn is going to be fired. The Jets hire their new defensive coordinator, Brian Duker, who spent the last couple seasons with the Miami Dolphins, but he did work with Aaron Glenn on the Lions staff from 21 to 23, which I don't remember that defense being that great as is, but you get what you get at this point right now. Guys are like, hey, I might never be a defensive coordinator. It could work out. Most people are saying, I'm not going anywhere near that organization. Welcome Brian Duker for 1 year. He'll be fired at the end of the year.
Well, they'll all be fired, but yes, he goes back even further with Aaron Glenn than just his time with Detroit. But the bottom line is he's a puppet because Aaron Glenn also made the decision that he is the one that is going to be calling the defensive plays. So he is going to be the de facto head coach and DC. No play calling duties for Duker here. I mean, you had Wink Martindale in the building. You had an established, great defensive mind in the NFL who has had nothing but success, and you decided that you're going to live or die with the defense, huh? As the head coach who has no idea what he's doing. It sounds like it's going to go swimmingly with the Jets this year.
Oh, it sounds great. It sounds fantastic. The end of the year, maybe they'll come on the SportsGrid Network and help us out during football season as well. How about this? A tweet comes out that Brian Dable, of course, is going to be the offensive coordinator here for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to start to build a staff with who he is familiar with. They're going to hire Shea Tierney as quarterback coach here. He coached Daniel Jones, Jackson Dart, Tommy DeVito, Russell Wilson, and more. Tierney now tasked with getting the most out of Cam Ward.
Yeah, listen, it's everyone knows what the deal is here. I mean, Dable has a track record of working with young quarterbacks, and it all started, of course, in Buffalo, right? And we know that, he almost got Jackson Dart killed there a couple of times, but I think he was trying to save his job here. I don't think he's going to be under the same pressure here with Cam Ward. It is a rebuild process, but I do think you're going to see a better version of Cam Ward this year with Brian Dable calling the plays.
How about the Chargers going with a new defensive coordinator, but making this defensive coordinator hire out of Western Michigan? But there is some familiarity here with the staffs, as also prior to the Chargers, O'Leary coached at Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman, but also coaching, of course, under Minter. So a lot of stuff here changing places. But how about that? A Western Michigan MAC coach is now the D coordinator out there.
Yeah, well, but what does that say about Harbaugh? He understands the concept, right? It's I don't need to be. I can get a guy in there that's going to be passionate. It's going to be hungry. Did it with Minter and his brother did long time ago And that's how you build it. That's how you do it. And you got to love it. And listen, that Charger defense got a lot of good pieces coming back. Should be very good again next year.
By the way, the Bucs did reach out to Sean McDermott. Like, ooh, that's interesting. They're going to make a move at head coach. Ooh. No, just to be a part of their staff. Man, he's taking a year off. It's not going to be part of your staff. Todd Bowles, come on now. We'll be right back. Quick break coming up.
This is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doan, is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The NBA is really going to heat up in just a little bit. The trade deadline is just about here, and some monster names are out there. But Shams Charania had a tweet come out yesterday that said Houston Rockets center Steven Adams has undergone season-ending surgery on his left ankle, according to sources at ESPN. Interesting there, because I didn't even still think he was playing basketball at this point. I thought he was still rigging stat sheets for Russell Westbrook. I guess I was wrong. He's in Houston.
Yeah, no, and he was actually a really big part of this Houston rotation, because he was the other big man behind Albert Sengun there, and now that he's not coming back, they are a little light there for big men in Houston. So we'll see if they are active during the trade deadline. But he was a big part of what they were doing with the rotations there. But it not to be. He is shelved for the rest of the season.
Look, now's the perfect time to go out there and trade for Joel Embiid. Take those numbers off the books for the Sixers. He's playing great basketball right now. Just lost the center. Joel Embiid is the perfect fit down in Houston. That's
Anthony Davis.
Philadelphia. Yeah, Anthony Davis. How about who else is out there? Dwight Howard, you could probably scrape up at this point. Like, somebody should be able to get in there and have some fun and be that perfect home. Now, here's a good story. Bleacher Report sent a tweet out. Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for a new home at the February 5th trade deadline, or in the offseason. I thought Giannis was never going to ask for a trade, he said at this point, and we kept telling you, yeah, he's going to ask through his agent. Now, apparently, he's asking for himself and his agent to be removed. Now, here's the interesting part. He's injured right now. The part that I think that Giannis would like to get out of town sooner than later with a chance to win a championship this year. But if you are the Milwaukee Bucks, you might want to slow play this a little bit more, get him fully healthy, and maybe get the best deal you could possibly make in the summer, while also Giannis not playing for your team here in the spring, Joe, to get a better draft pick to make it even more enticing when it's all said and done. Give me this option, Joe. Giannis Antetokounmpo feels like will be traded. More likely at the deadline or more likely in the offseason for you?
Well, they will try to get him out at the deadline. I don't know if they'll have success. Again, there's only maybe a handful of teams, Donnie, that could actually coordinate the money. I do think multiple teams are going to have to be involved. But you got to wonder, I mean, from a betting perspective, too, here, they're trying to move Giannis. He's unavailable to play. Are they trying to upgrade at all? Or is the fire sale on, the tank on in Milwaukee? It feels like they have no interest whatsoever in trying to improve this roster, which means there's only one other way to go, Donnie, and that means, yeah, they're going to be laying down a lot of nights, and Giannis is going to be wearing a different uniform.
And that calf injury is always a worry because we used to say, oh, calf injury will be fine. But we know now calf injuries that linger usually turn into Achilles injuries, and that could be devastating for the career of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Still right in his prime, but if this was 3 or 4 years ago, the Milwaukee Bucks were like, yeah, we don't care what we're giving up in the trade market. He's staying here in Milwaukee, but now it appears like everybody's on the same page. We just don't know if it's going to be the deadline or if it's going to be in the offseason. And maybe it did start in Milwaukee where Jay Crowder talking about the Bucks' downfall. And yes, they were 30-13 when they make the move to get Doc Rivers. And now look what they've become, an under 500 underperforming team where Doc's like, not my fault, as if it ever is.
It never Doc's fault. But, you know, again, this was the organization trying to placate, Giannis. They went out and got Lillard last year, remember? And then everything was going to work out great, except, no, it didn't. And now all of the pieces that you brought in for him this year are train wreck, and none of them fit together. It was the Giannis show having to carry this team early in the season, and now he's hurt. So, kudos. Great job, Doc Rivers and the organization. He, too, will likely be on another sideline in the near future.
By the way, after that championship, they just tried to accommodate Giannis, signing everybody in his family to be either on the basketball team or at least sit on the bench at that point, making multiple trades, free agent signings, changing head coaches here. Nothing has worked, so maybe the final thing is just to get rid of Giannis himself and try to start over. But again, careful what you wish for. Nobody wants to go to play in Milwaukee. Not a single player has ever said his dream destination is Milwaukee. You have a global superstar now wants out. If you trade him, nobody is coming to Milwaukee. Just understand that. How about last night? The Orlando Magic, they understood the task at hand. Battled Florida last night, Joe. 133-124 victory. And by the way, Miami had to lead at the break after a great second quarter and then decided not to come out for the second half and get beat 40-20 in the third quarter. Magic by 9 points over the Heat yesterday to get the job done.
Which is hilarious since, the Magic haven't been able to score 100 points, it feels like, in forever. I mean, it's not been good. But the good news is they ran into a Miami Heat team who is not playing any defense anymore. They've given up at least 115 points in every game here over the last couple of weeks. And once again, I guess if you're going to get it right offensively, Orlando, running into the Miami Heat, who I believe they've now swept the season series. I believe that's their fourth win against Miami this season. Just not a good matchup for Miami, and it certainly wasn't again last night.
Great defense last night on the court by the San Antonio Spurs. They're on the road to take on the Houston Rockets, and they came away with a 111-99 victory. Second half for the Spurs, they held Houston to 24 points in the third quarter, then 13 points in the fourth quarter for that double-digit victory, which saw 28 points out of Wembanyama, 16 rebounds, 2 steals, and 5 blocks for the young phenom.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different second half. I mean, the Rockets came out firing, and all of a sudden, San Antonio was playing catch-up, but they did a really good job in the second and third and then just shut the door, which had been a problem for them. They just played, Donnie, a week ago, and they blew a 16-point lead, the Spurs did, in Houston against these very Rockets. They weren't doing that last night with that fourth quarter.
Let's get to the NBA tonight. A 9 o'clock tip time. The Pistons still on the road here. They're going to take on the Phoenix Suns tonight. They opened up overnight, Joe, as a minus 4.5-point favorite in the marketplace today. So minus 4.5 to just about every outlet you're checking out. 215.5 as that total. Pistons on the road to take on the Suns. Another dub in the future for those Pistons?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. They got to get a little healthier. I mean, Booker has been a question mark, right? Unfortunately, he's been dealing with the ankle injury there, but it'd be good if they can get him back in this one. I mean, very surprising. We all thought the Pistons would be good this year. We didn't think they'd be 34-11 good and the top of the Eastern Conference. But the Suns, nobody thought the Suns would be this competitive on a night-to-night basis. But yeah, here we are, and getting points feels like know who's playing for the Suns, because if he's on the court, if Booker's on the court, it's a different Suns team.
No doubt about it. Let's get to the late game tonight. 9:30 start. OKC is on the road. A little bit of lull in their season right now, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. We do see Oklahoma City overnight opened as a 4.5-point favorite. Now some outlets, Joe, as high as 6.5 in the marketplace, and a total that's us at a 225.5. OKC on the road to take on Minnesota. What do we got going on tonight?
Well, we had Minnesota last night in Dallas. They won and covered, and it's tough to trust Minnesota against bad teams, Donnie, because they are notorious for playing down to the level of competition. What they are very good at, though, is against above 500 teams, and that's exactly what they're going to get with the Thunder. Listen, the Thunder continue to be burning money for backers here because they're so overvalued. And they never cover. Sure, they may win some games, but they are not covering at all. Will they get the cover on the road on a second of a back-to-back? This could be the time to back the Thunder.
Maybe you see. Let's see what happens on the Thunder tonight, getting it to go. But certainly over a night, people are backing the Thunder here, raising that by close to 2 points here. We'll see where it gets to game time once we get some of those final roster additions coming out. How about this one, Joe? The Milwaukee Bucks. So much maligned, under 500. Giannis once out of town. They're actually favored on the road against the Wizards. Tells you, Joe, just how bad those Wizards actually are.
And it's funny, time, because the Wizards, yes, they're terrible. We know that. But they got a lot of talent, young talent on this team that if they could ever put it together, and that's the problem with betting against the Wizards night in and night out, is because when they do play together, they are pretty good. They got some guys that can fill it up quickly. And the Bucks, to me, are just in full tank mode. So it's very hard to lay anything with the Bucks on the road.
By the way, is Trae Young playing yet for the Bucks out these streets? Who knows? The NBA, the deadline's coming up. We'll be right back.
Just the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doe, and is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doan network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doan as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Meanwhile, Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag. He wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So yeah, so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show in.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
College basketball, people, get excited about it. Did you know next week, Joe, you knew this, right? Next week is February. Yes, the Super Bowl is going to be there, but then we're almost into conference tournament championship season. Then we get the Selection Sunday. Then we get to March Madness, but also some of these teams tanking in the NBA already lining up like, ooh, boy, who are we going to get next year in the draft? How about the projected top 2 picks in next year's draft? AJ Dibansa and also Darren Peterson. If you, Joe, were the general manager of a really bad basketball team today, who is your guy?
It's tough to back Peterson here because he only plays every other game, if that, Donnie. And then every time I look on the sideline, he's wearing ice packs on his knees and everything. Like, what is going on with this kid? Like, either he's healthy enough, is he not healthy enough? How is that going to get any better and translate into an 82-game season in the association? So I don't know. I mean, Dibansa has been, lights out for them. He's young. He obviously still got some game that he's got to work on. But, to me, I think it's an easy choice. I can't. If I'm watching a dude on the sideline missing games wearing ice packs on his knees, I don't know that I'm picking him number 1, Donnie. I really don't.
I don't know. Wouldn't that mean he's ready for load management right away? Like, he's already a professional and gets what the NBA is about. Like, you can't have guys that play hard every single night. You got to sit out a couple of those games, brother, when you have it. 2 immensely talented players, but you're right. Sometimes I just think also the hype on Dibansa, just like you just can't pass that up. The guy's going to be electric at the NBA. 2 great players. I don't think you can make a mistake, but we'll see how this pans out and see how these guys step up in the biggest moments of college basketball still to come. How about John Wall? Used to be a Kentucky superstar back in the day. He spoke on the current state of college basketball. Quote, "I don't like it. When we declared it wasn't no coming back. You got guys that got families. It's kind of hurting some of the younger guys." He's like, you know what, man? You declare for that draft. See you when I see you. You're not coming back to college basketball.
Is there a guy that brought a gun into the locker room? Or maybe I'm wrong there. But John Wall, yes, he does have a point here, Donnie. And we've been saying it. Coaches have been saying it. And, I think also John Wall's probably like, you know how much money we could have made? Any idea how much money we could have made in the NIL era? You got to be kidding me. I mean, there was a generation of players that would have taken total advantage of this, Donnie, until they got to the NBA and got their bag there. But that's the world we live in right now. It's not fun. It's not good. But it also, look at Baylor, doesn't mean that it's always going to work out, even if you get these older guys.
How about this? They're on to him down in Alabama. Why? Tuscaloosa Circuit Court Judge. That's a tough one there. James Roberts has recused himself from the Charles Bediaco lawsuit per records. Because why? He's an Alabama booster. Come on now. He had to do it.
Yeah, and not only him, his wife, and everybody else in his family, apparently. So, yeah I think his wife is part of a law firm, too, as well, that represents some of the NIL players. Like, there is just, this whole thing is out of control. But this is a guy who just played 25 minutes, scored 13 points for Alabama in that loss to Tennessee over the weekend. So, what happens now with him? It's just not. This is a guy that can actually help this team, but I'm not sure what you suppose. Every game he plays, does that mean you got to forfeit it if you actually decide that he can't play college basketball?
Or also, did he sign an NIL where he gets paid no matter what if he plays or not at Alabama? It could be money that wasn't spent very well.
Good point.
This is the new day and age of college basketball and college athletics here. We're waiting on judges as opposed to just showing up on the court because you want to play a basketball game. How about the St. John's Red Storm last night? Easy victory over Butler. That offense was humming yesterday. 92 points. Zuby Ejiofor, 15 points along with Ian Jackson's 18. Smash job over the Butler Bulldogs.
Gotta love the Johnnies getting it done here in the Big East. Another over, too. Both teams we mentioned yesterday love to play with pace. I ain't sweating out a Butler or Johnnies under anytime soon here, Donnie, but dropping 92, pretty impressive here for the Johnnies, who are now starting to play their best basketball.
How about this? Colorado going to take on Iowa State tonight. 7 o'clock tip time from Iowa State. 17.5 overnight. At least we're down a little bit at some outlets to 16.5. But we look at the total, 152.5. Colorado, I guess they don't have Dion on the court tonight here, looking to get blown out by Iowa State, no?
Well, listen, Iowa State should win this game. At home, Colorado is not very good on the road. They don't have the same quality of shooters, but we've already seen Iowa State, they live by the three, die by the three sometimes. And if their shots aren't falling, it's hold on. You ain't covering by this many points here. But Colorado has a propensity on the road to generally get blown out against top 25 teams. And that looks like what they're heading for here tonight.
Talked a little spread lines earlier in the show, Joe. Washington and Illinois going to tangle in Illinois tonight, 9 o'clock tip time, 12.5-point favorite for the Fighting Illini, and a total of 153.5. The one thing we know about Illinois, they bring offense. The best, or should I say the most efficient offense in Big Ten play resides in Champaign. They took on Washington tonight.
And the big question here is, are we going to get a letdown spot for Illinois? With that big win on the road against Purdue, you had a kid that dropped, 46? Wagler there. Is he going to repeat that performance? Everybody's looking at Illinois, as well they should, but how many times have we seen it, Donnie, in college basketball, where a team goes on a road, unbelievable win, only to the next game lose to an inferior opponent at home? So that would be what I'd be careful about laying the points here tonight.
How about a little women's college basketball? Alabama versus UGA. I'm looking on FanDuel. I don't see any lines after this one, so I assume that game is going to be played tonight. Joe, any thoughts on the SEC? We told you yesterday, 10 teams in the top 25 come from the SEC women's.
The women's side is absolutely stacked here. And keep an eye, too. You got Louisville, Stanford here tonight. You got Mississippi State, Tennessee. You got a huge, and I mean an absolutely huge card of women's basketball here tonight. And both Alabama and Georgia, by the way, are going to make the tournament here. We will likely see these two again in March Madness.
In the tournament. By the way, last night, Florida went on the road and absolutely decimated South Carolina in men's college basketball, 95-48. Chinaloo with 14 and 11. Some people say, Joe, watch out for those Gators if they get it right by the time we get to the tournament, huh?
It was not a good spot for South. Florida had just lost at home to Auburn. Yikes.
Absolute smash job. We got one more segment to go before we hit the top of the hour. Come on back.
Is the fear that we had going on. And the players obviously were paid $10,000 to $30,000 per fix. But what this does is it hits at the core of the identity in the sport, especially in the modern day betting era.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Basically my co-host on Game Time Decisions, Josh Doe, and is featured so much. And I also want to say this basically now confirms we are the premier Josh Doe network in all of sports media. No way no other show mentions Josh Doe as much as this one. Is that a success? Is that a failure? I don't know, but I think it's true.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
While Charlie Baker of the NCAA has planted his flag, he wants to see the end of prediction markets, and of course is a little bit nervous with all of the different stories that we've heard surrounding sports betting allegations of some folks being corrupt out there and maybe some point shaving. It does make some sense here. I just wonder which of the sports betting operators are going to stand with the NCAA.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
But I remember being 16 in high school, being in my school uniform, long pants and a tie, and I deadlifted 200 kgs, so that's 440 pounds. So so that was I actually have a video of it, so it might get leaked somewhere. Someone might be able to find that one.
We might need to get that one to B-roll the show with.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hall of Fame's a pretty big topic as of late because why? Bill Belichick is not a first-time ballot Hall of Famer, which we do think is crazy, even though we can admit he did cheated at one of the worst cheating scandals in the history of the NFL, and some people are holding him accountable for it. But if he wasn't kicked out of the NFL and was still allowed to coach in the NFL decades, it felt like, after Spygate, then he's probably okay with the NFL and should be a first-time ballot Hall of Famer. Even Tom Brady chimed in, and he was stunned. Quote, if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think 99.9% of the people out there agree with Tom Brady on this, Joe.
Listen, it's stupid. Again, we've said it how many times, and everyone else. They have never had, I don't think, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, a situation in which they actually had to release a statement, Donnie, in order to be able to combat how people, not just fans, but former players as superstars in other sports. I mean, that is how big a ridiculous snub this really was, where everyone is questioning the legitimacy now of the voting, who's voting, and the Hall of Fame itself. It's not a good look.
Not a good look here, but also understand this. There's a lot of people putting out information where we know we're backstabbing Bill Belichick along the way. And one of those guys is Robert Kraft. Oh, basically saying, don't look at me. Like his record stands for himself. When all we heard when he left New England was, I'm going to talk to my fellow owners and make sure nobody hires this guy, because apparently that 302 career wins that he has, 328 Don Shula, 2 or 3 more years, he would have gotten that here. And it's apparent they don't want him to get that here. But everybody now who had the issues, wasn't me. Like Bill Paul, what do you mean? I know I don't, but I voted for him. Absolutely. Why is there a lot of that smoke where there's fire type of acts from some of these owners / former general managers who go, not me, when you know it's them?
Well, it's funny, too, because everyone pointed the finger at Bill Polian as being some sort of ringleader to convince everyone no, but Bill Polian actually voted for him. So we learned that yesterday, too, Donnie, that on his voting card, he actually voted for Belichick. So, I mean, listen, if Polian votes for him, I don't know what everybody else's argument is, but there had to be a collective groupthink going on there where a handful of people were like, nah, we're gonna make them wait. We didn't like come on, it's too easy. The reality is he should be in, will be in, but not as a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I guess congratulations to those that wanted to take a stand. For what, I have no idea, but all right, congrats.
By the way, like sometimes you get the scales of justice and they're tipped unfair to one side, which I do think is happening to Bill Belichick. But just when you figure you can't trust the general public with voting on who gets to the Hall of Fame, they bring you right back and say, you know what? They are correct people. Eli Manning, not voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the 2nd straight year. It should be a 3rd straight year, a 4th straight year, a 5th straight year, a 6th straight year. Because I understand one thing. If I have a great quarterback on that football field, you know what that great team does? They win a majority of their football games. I can't put you in the Hall of Fame if you're a 500 quarterback. I just can't. It's the single most important position in sports. And you don't have a winning record? Get out of here.
Unbelievable, Donnie. It really is. This argument has been going on for how long? With Woody, or is he, or isn't he, listen, his 2 best games, his 2 most memorable moments have been beating the one coach and quarterback combo that nobody else could in a lot of spots here. So, yes, was he a 500 quarterback? Yes. Some of the numbers look really good. Other numbers don't look great. Is he a first ballot guy? No, of course not. But should he be in? Kind of hard not to, because he was a big part of that decade there where everyone thought Tom Brady was going to be invincible. And had it not been for Eli, the Dolphins wouldn't be cracking open champagne every year, would they, Donnie?
When you have a quarterback, right, and I say to myself, for any position in the NFL or across the sports landscape when you want to get in the Hall of Fame, you have to carve out your niche saying, over that 10-year period, I was the best of the best. Eli Manning wasn't even the best quarterback in his own division. Like Donovan McNabb routinely was a much better quarterback, and McNabb should never, ever sniff the Hall of Fame. And McNabb was a better overall quarterback than Eli was. Just the way it is at this point right now. Look, The Hall of Good. It's okay to be in that and enjoy. He made hundreds of millions of dollars. He continues to make that. Everybody, you can't, I'm an Eagles fan. You can't like Eli. And by the way, we beat him like a drum for 20 straight years in Philadelphia, so I was upset when he actually retired at this point. But he's a good quarterback, not a Hall of Fame quarterback here. Now, maybe Eli can go over and help out the New York Jets. We'll get more of that at the top of the hour. We're having some fun. Let's continue. Let's continue to bash Eli Manning right here. Come on back. Fun.